Hey everybody, I'm Meredith Doty, and this is Sweating Shirtless. Every episode, I dive deep into unpacking the fitness world through a body confident and inclusive lens while picking the brains of inspiring, brilliant, accomplished, honest, new, and old friends talking about their experience with sweating shirtless. Carmen DaRocha, a pediatric nurse practitioner and avid workout enthusiast. She spent her teenage years rowing with her high school crew team, then moved into CrossFit and became a coach until making the leap to the handlebar, where she teaches cycle and move. All around fiery badass who brings the heat with her playlist while also staying true to herself and encouraging fitness for all.
All right, Carmen in the house. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. I'm better now that I'm here.
Yeah. What were you doing earlier today?
I was cleaning a little bit, getting ready because it's my dog's birthday, so I was going to do something for him. I worked out a little bit. So, yeah, now I'm sitting down and relaxing and enjoying this conversation with you.
Beautiful.
It's been so long before we were. I miss you.
I know, I miss you too. It's like we only see each other virtually these days.
Sad.
Um, you don't teach Saturdays, right?
Well, this is aka Indigenous People Weekend, not Columbus
Mm-hmm.
Day weekend. So normally
Mm-hmm.
Saturdays I do teach, but this Saturday I had off, so I went to work out instead. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
So we've talked about this in the past, but something that I really admire as you as an fitness instructor is you're just such a great coach and like feeding off the energy of the room and just honing in on what people are doing and helping them out in the moment. How has it been only teaching virtually for you?
Yeah, so it's different. It's weird. So as you know, I used to teach move indoors, like intimate before COVID. And then we had an outdoor session, which only lasted for a little bit because the weather changed. And now primarily it's all virtual, which is it's an interesting challenge on its own because I still have to kind of hype folks up, really get them motivated. And what I've been doing to really kind of connect with my my guests that come to class is kind of reaching out to them either by Instagram or Facebook and just kind of checking in to see how did it feel? Was there anything that was achy? Like, did you understand the movements? Do you have any questions? Because right now that's the only way in which I can kind of connect with them is via
Yeah.
social media. So yeah, it's been helpful that way. Yeah.
That's awesome that you're doing that. I didn't realize it. You're just taking that
Yeah.
extra step.
Yeah, just because there's no other way for me to know if like if it went okay, because I have no idea. I'm in an empty room by myself screaming to a camera, and I'm having fun, but I want to make sure everyone else is having fun.
Exactly. That's like the thing. It's so hard. So I've only done the virtual workouts a few times, but each time it's like you're like dying on camera and you're like, these bitches better be like doing it with me at this point.
Harder. I think it's harder than in-person teaching because there's no one else there kind
Yeah,
of holding you accountable but yourself.
exactly. Yeah. And you can't feed off anyone's energy but your own. You really have to bring your own energy,
Yeah,
which is like crazy.
yeah,
Um, so how did you, I don't think we've ever talked about this. So, well, the first time we met was auditions for Handlebar,
yeah.
um, and which was a crazy time.
Mm.
Um, and you always took your audition, the like third or whatever round it was, you really stuck out to me because you were so brave and just kind of like went off on your own and did your own thing. Did that song from Coco, and you talked about your own history, and I thought that was so, it really stuck out to me to this day.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's how we actually met. You probably know I had to do two rounds of auditions. The first round, I didn't get it. I was really sad. But that's okay. I worked harder. I came back and I had my second round of auditions. But basically, how I got into fitness was, I think, accidental. So, as you know, I'm a nurse practitioner, so health and wellness is like a primary staple in my life. And in high school, I kind of, joined the rowing club. So I was like on the rowing team. Like it was okay. I wasn't a great athlete. But when I was younger, like in high school, I realized that like there was something about fitness that I connected with. I don't share this story often, but I think it's kind of funny how it happened when I was first, when I first met my current husband now. we met in high school, and I remember kind of hanging out with him in a small group of friends, and I really had a big crush on him, but he liked my best friend, and I was really sad. And I remember he was like flirting with my best friend at the time, and this we were all at my house hanging out, and I was crushed. So I went up to my room, closed the door, and I started doing sit-ups because I was just so like I had so much nervous energy, like I had so much like angst, and I was like, how do I
Yeah.
get rid of it? And I was just doing like I was moving my body, and I realized from then on, like this is essentially like my therapy. I love working out, and at that moment, I was like, oh, I feel better. Wow, I like fitness. So ever since then, it kind of spiraled, and here I am now teaching kettlebell classes and sometimes cycle virtual.
Yeah, that's so cool that you like discovered it as a coping mechanism.
Yeah, it was like I had no plans to do like sit-ups. Like it was just like a random thing that I was just doing in my room because I realized like it makes me feel better. Like the endorphins are real. So hey, to this day I'm still working out, and now we're married, so it ends up being a good, happy ending.
It worked out. Those sit-ups
It
paid
did.
off.
It did. Yeah.
How do you tie that in? Do you try to tie that kind of mentality into your classes as you teach?
Um, I'm not really sure if I do. I think one of the things that I stress when I'm teaching is kind of just pushing your own ability and pushing your own limit again because teaching virtually there's no one there first of all to motivate you really, and there's no one there for you to compare yourself with. And I think that's a big thing that people do unintentionally. Like when you're in a group setting, the person to the left of you is crushing that run. The person to the right of you is like squatting heavier than you. And I try to focus like, don't worry about them. Like you are the only reason. You're the only person that you need to worry about. Like that you are in your own chapter of your book. They're in a different chapter in their own book. So I try to not have people compare themselves to others because I think that's one thing that makes um, it makes it hard for people to kind of want to come back, and it might also kind of crush their own confidence if they're seeing Sally over there that may be doing something different that doesn't look like what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Um, Going back to your rowing, what was
Yeah.
that in college, you said?
It was actually in high school. I was
Oh,
a
cool.
part of the crew team there, and we were pretty awful. It was terrible. We were like an urban inner city group of kids, like kind of like trying to keep up with the private school kids. But it was fun. It was great. It was an all girls crew team, Giro, and that's how I kind of like started into the fitness journey.
Were they like brutal? So you were, is it city as in Boston City?
Yeah. I Boston Public School. I went to Boston Latin Academy, and they had a small program. At the time, it was really small, and now it's huge. Of inner city kids, trying to expose them to kind of things that you wouldn't really naturally have as like growing up in an urban environment. So I was part of
Mm.
the rowing team for 4 years, and it was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah.
It was awesome, but you're also like critical of your own abilities.
I didn't think I took it as seriously then. What I liked most about it was the camaraderie with the girls because it was a great way to like boost your self confidence, which is being with other people of different backgrounds, different abilities, all pushing towards something that's new and different and challenging for us. Again, because public schools really don't have a rowing team. So it
Right.
was it was awesome being with like kids that looked like me and talked like me and came from the same backgrounds as me, doing something different.
That's really nice that you had that. I feel like my school experience is so different. I wasn't on any teams. I didn't have any camaraderie. So I struggled with my self-confidence. I didn't have anyone to, help build me up.
Yeah. Where did you go to high school? Was it
I went to Walpole High School as a suburb of
Waffle?
Boston.
Hmm.
Yeah. It was interesting. That's another story for another
Another
day.
story for another day. You have a lot of good stories, Meredith. I need to hear them.
Um, yeah, I feel like I'm a broken record sometimes, but whatever. Uh, are you still friends with your rowing mates to this day?
Not as much as I would have hoped, kind of like through social media. I'm like, oh, they did a thing. That's cool. I'm gonna like that post. So we're not really as close as we were when I was like 15, which is fine. People change.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So going into college, were you still active throughout college?
So I wanted to be, but when I went to Mass College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences to pursue my nursing license, and it was brutal. I went to a 32-month accelerated program to get my bachelor in nursing, so there was literally no time to work out, let alone kind of study and sleep. So I didn't, and I wish I had. Like every once in a while, I'd go to like the Wentworth gym to like run on a treadmill, but it was nothing that consistent, and I totally felt it because I was stressed. Nursing school is stressful. I was
Yeah.
stressed. So I didn't have any really opportunity to do it. It was a bummer.
That is tough. I feel like college, it goes either one way or the other. Like you get really into it, or like it's on the back burner for those years, and then you pick it
Oh
back up.
yeah, it was like there was no time for like fun leisurely activities. So I did like kind of dabble with yoga a little bit at the time, but nothing like really serious.
Hmm. So you graduated. You're then a nurse. I
Yeah.
don't know how that really happens. Did you just like become a nurse, or do you?
So once you graduate, that's step one. Then you have to like pass the boards, and that's step two. So again, I don't really tell a lot of people this, but the first time I took my boards, I didn't pass, and I was crushed. It You're studying for months, for weeks, but I knew I didn't study as hard as I should have. I think it's because I had like freedom. I was like, oh my god, I'm done with school. I'm gonna go on a vacation, and I went to like Aruba with David, my husband's family. They were so generous, and they're like, you graduated, we want to have a trip for you. Let's go to Aruba. So I was just like, I was checked out. So when I took my test, I didn't pass, and then I hunkered down. I kind of locked myself in my room. I studied, took my second time. I passed, and then at that point, I was working as a nurse. Now, at that point, I had more time to finally work out. So that's how that happened.
How did you deal with the rejection of failing that test?
I think I wasn't as shocked as I could have or should have been. I think a little part of me knew that I didn't really put enough effort into it because again, I had all this freedom suddenly and I'm like, I'm just gonna relax and take time. So I wasn't as shocked as I should have been. And I think that kind of it took me to the next level when I was actually sitting down to study for my next board. So I took it okay because I kind of knew what happened during the test.
Yeah, but I feel like you're just like a resilient bitch over here. Like you're so resilient. Like you're really set your sights on something and go after it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I just like worked out a lot after that. I was like, I'm gonna study and I'm going to do well and I'm going to get these endorphins and I'm just gonna like start working out again. And yeah, so I did that and I passed it and thank God because that test is not easy.
Yeah, I can't imagine test taking and stuff always. And then like it's then when you have like your career on the line, I can't imagine that kind of pressure.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So you get your nursing degree and then you go back into fitness. And I know that you also taught what's it called? CrossFit
CrossFit?
for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, I did.
So how did you get into all of that?
So I was a nurse at the time, and I remember sitting at home watching TV, and I saw like the CrossFit Games, kind of like the Olympics for CrossFit athletes. I was like, oh my gosh, those women are strong as fuck, like lifting weight that I've never seen anyone lift before, and I was just thoroughly impressed. And I was like, I want to be that strong. So I started looking online, like closest CrossFit gyms near me, and there was one that was literally point. It was like maybe a 400 or 800 meters away from my house. I was like, I'm going there. I signed up. The next week, I went for like my first intro session. Fell in love with like the strength and being able to lift heavy, and then I started to. After a few years, I started to then teach CrossFit there. Yeah.
That's tough. How is teaching CrossFit different than Move and Cycle? I imagine it's very different.
Yes. So Move and Cycle I love because it's music based. Move like to the beat of the music, and I'm obsessed with music. I'm obsessed with beats, like heavy, hard hitting beats. So that is one thing that is so special about the handlebar cycle classes, about the handlebar move classes, that everything's beat based, and I love that. CrossFit, on the other hand, there's no beat base there. It's more about strength and more about how quickly you can finish the workout. So it is very different in that aspect, but I enjoy both worlds. So I think the music and the movement base is what makes them so different.
And with Move and Spin, you do a great job with like weaving in your own heritage into what music that you play. Can you tell me what? So I am Scottish and Irish. Where are you from?
So born and raised in Boston, but my mom is from Guatemala, which is in Central America. My dad was born in Puerto Rico, which makes me a Puerto Rican because it sounds way better than Guatemalan. So I'm a Puerto Rican, Puerto Rican American based. And that is one thing that I think I like to stress and kind of push whenever I'm teaching classes. I think it's really a part of my DNA every time I hear like the Latin horns, the Latin bass, that just the music, it drives me. Like it, you probably notice in move class every time I play music, I want to dance. I know I can't, I know I shouldn't, but I'm always like wanting to just like dance a little bit. So that is where my family's from. And I went to Guatemala a few times when I was younger. My Spanish isn't 100% perfect as I wish it were, but I understand it perfectly. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell. My background.
That's really cool that you're able to go visit. And you said that you do have family there?
Yeah, my most of my mom's family is still in Guatemala. It's a sad thing that I've never visited Puerto Rico, but I think mostly because when I was like in my teenage years, my parents divorced, so that is probably the fracturing of the two families is probably one thing that kind of that I'm missed out on. Um, my mom and dad are great friends now. They're actually better friends now than they were when they were married. So the divorce was good for them. My dad's in Florida now, so he's living his best life, COVID free.
Yeah, really though. I'm jealous. Now that it's like getting cold here, I'm like, let me move to Texas or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. You should really go. I feel like so a couple years ago, I took a trip to Scotland. I feel most connected to those roots. I still have
Yeah.
family over there, and it was like a, what's that word? It's like coming home, whatever that trip is called.
Yes, yes, yes. I
Um,
can't remember, but I know what you're talking about. Yes.
yeah, I just felt like this is my land.
Pilgrimage. Pilgrimage.
Yes.
Is that it? I don't know if
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, I think so. But yeah, it was really cool to see, and just I like dove into the history of Scotland and like learned all about it and met up with my family that lives over there.
So
Um,
cool. Would you
yeah,
go back?
it was, yes, it's like my favorite country. Their national animal is a unicorn.
Stop it.
Like it's amazing. There's unicorns like all over their state buildings and everything.
That's so great. I love that. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
gotta go to Scotland.
Yeah, and I need to go to Puerto Rico. It's on my list. We actually bought flights to I don't know where, somewhere south. They were
Mm-hmm.
like $23 round trip, like in the beginning of quarantine for New Year's. And I was like, Dave, let's just book it, even if like we don't go. It's just like $23.
That's amazing.
So it's not Puerto Rico, but
Is it an
I don't
island in
know.
the Caribbean?
Mm, I don't know. I don't know where we're going, but it's somewhere down there, and I'm
Are you
pretty
gonna go?
excited about it. I want to. I was just like talking to Dave about it. I'm like, should we still plan on going and start like looking at resorts? we're like going on a side tangent, but I actually just got my, I gave blood recently and I did come back with,
Antibodies?
yeah. So I
Wow.
have antibodies and Dave's going to give blood soon as well. So he can make double check, but I'm assuming because I have antibodies, he will have antibodies because we live together.
Yeah.
So then we'll just go and then we'll come back at get a test to make sure that we're negative. We'll get tested both pre and post. And yeah, that's my rough plan.
That's a good rough plan. I like that so far.
Yeah, New Year's, I just kind of want to get out of town a little bit. I have like the travel itch, the travel bug. So talking about the theme of this podcast is called, or this series is called Sweating Shirtless. I know now for the most part you typically teach without a shirt on.
I'm wearing
But
shorts right now because I was like, you know what, I'm
oh,
gonna be shirtless, so I'm gonna take off my shirt. Why the hell not?
I should have, I missed my own memo. But have you always been like that? Talk to me about your journey.
It's interesting because when I first started CrossFit, the previous managers were very really strong with their religion, and they actually required that everyone keep their shirt on, and no one was allowed to wear booty shorts or like short shorts during class.
Wow.
And I was completely taken aback by that. And I didn't realize it until one day one of the members were like, "Oh, I just got kind of reprimanded for like taking off my shirt during a really like sweaty workout during the summer months." And I was like, "What? Why? Why? We're hot. We need to. I'm hot. I want to take off my shirt." So
Mm-hmm.
I was totally turned off by that. I don't think women could be subjected from men and who can take their shirts off when and why. If you're hot, take off your damn shirt. So I think I kept my shirt on just because out of respect to the manager, I didn't want to kind of ruffle feathers. But once the new management came over, I felt more confident. And I was like, I'm hot. I'm going to take off my shirt. I'm sweaty. We need to do it. And ever since then, I just felt fine and comfortable taking off my shirt like during a really sweaty time, or even like before sweaty opportunities. Like if you're working out and like something is in your way, I don't want anything out of the way in my way when I'm trying to like work out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was interesting.
I can completely agree. It's like our bodies, our time. If we're hot and we want to take your shirt off, like do so.
Yes. Yeah.
I think once people do it and take off their shirt when they're working out, it's like this, you realize that it's so much more comfortable
Yeah.
without that extra layer.
Yes. It's like liberating, like how
Yeah.
much you feel. It's actually, there was a study, I need to send it to you, but there was a really interesting like research study done about how you work out or what your strength is like or how fast you can go once your shirt is off. It's really fascinating. People feel
Wow.
stronger. People moved quicker. Their times were faster. I think this was like a CrossFit based study. So it actually encouraged athletes taking off their shirt during a workout because it was almost like a confidence booster in a way. Like it made people better at the workout. It's fascinating. I need to send it to you. Yeah.
Yeah, send it to me and I will link it in the description of this video.
Yes, I will find it because it was super interesting the way that they kind of studied athletes wearing a shirt working out versus not wearing a shirt. I'm waiting for the time in our life when women can like free the nipple and like that. I think that'll be like, hundreds of years from now. But like sometimes I get so hot I want to take off my sports bra. But I don't think the world is ready for nipples yet.
Oh my gosh.
One day
I don't know
it'll
if I personally will ever be ready for that, but I support your decision. I have like, the sports bras that zip up the front.
Yeah,
I have one like that I bought as a matching set to these leggings I really like, but I'm terrified that in like the middle of spin class, it'll just like unzip and like tits will be everywhere. So I never wear it because it's like, there's no like hook and eye that will keep it there. And I'm like, one push up down is like,
if it
really
happens,
get a show. Could you imagine? I'd be mortified. Oh,
Oh, so funny.
so funny. Well, it sounds like you've really been confident in your whole skin your whole life. Is that the case?
I don't think so. I think there was definitely like a part of me, like teenage Carmen, when she was on the rowing team, that would not take off her shirt. I don't think it was until I, I think it was when I started like maybe doing CrossFit when I was like really into my strength and realizing how much I was able to lift and how much I can deadlift, that I was like feeling myself and I was like, I'm gonna take off my shirt. And I just did it and it just happened. Yeah, I think it just happened naturally. Like I just like started to feel a little bit more confident when I was like lifting heavier weights. I don't know what it was, but it just happened. And I was like taking off my shirt. I was like, I'm gonna work
A
out now.
lot of times there's a someone in our lives that kind of showed us the way. I was listening to this TED talk about confidence and um I forget who was the one who did the talk, but again, I'll link it down.
Mm,
She said there's three things that are needed for to build confidence, and it's one of them is someone to show you how to be confident. So like a
mm,
leader. Was there
mm.
anyone in your life that really blazed the way and showed you how to be a
I
confident
think
woman?
there was one coach that I can think of specifically that I really connected with at CrossFit during the time that was incredible. And she was probably like 5'2", small, like framed person, but very strong and very confident in everything that she did. And the more important thing, she was really welcoming and nice to new people, which I was very afraid of CrossFit. So
Yeah.
I remember just like guided me and was so encouraging. And she would take off her shirt during workouts. I was like, oh, she can do it. I can do it. So I will always remember her because she was my first coach into kind of like strength, and she's such a wonderful person. So I think she was one of the first people that really kind of got me going on that journey.
Oh, yay.
So awesome.
We love our mentors and our leaders that show
Yeah,
us the way.
she was awesome.
They're like
But
hold a little good spot in our
yeah,
heart.
but to be completely honest, I think I told you this story when we first tried out for spin audition. I didn't even speak to you, but you were oozing confidence in the corner. I was like, who is that? Like I was low key kind of scared because you were so confident, but you didn't even say anything. It was just the way that you were like sitting and the way that you were just like holding yourself. And I was like, that girl's good. And you were so confident. And I was like, I am obsessed. I remember that vividly. Yeah, it was incredible.
Um, Fake it till you make it. I was shaking in my pants, like
I never would have
shook,
guessed. Never would have guessed. I'm like, this girl's
shook.
a pro. How is she auditioning? Like, she needs, like, she got it.
Yeah, that well, auditions were just like a psycho crazy time. I feel like I was just living in a dream. Sometimes I like kind of channel. So Beyonce used to talk that she doesn't do this quite anymore, but when she first got into performing and got big, she had her stage persona was Sasha Fierce, and then it's like Beyonce, and then her role person is Sasha Fierce, and I feel like that's kind of what I tap into when I'm on like the performance stage. I tap into like Meredith Fierce or something, Mayor Fierce.
Ooh, Mayor Fears. I like that. Should I have my own persona? I want my own persona now. I need to
Do
find
it.
it. Name her.
Yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
know. I should give her a different name than other Mare
You
Fierce, but
should. You should.
I'll think about it. But then then again, it's kind of like, but it also is my instructor self is in a lot of ways my favorite version of myself. Just like my most confident, my most self-assured for the most part, unless something terrible goes wrong in class. Like I feel like that persona is someone that I try to carry with me into the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
And I think
interesting what happens.
huge. That's huge. That's one thing that I learned like during the training for spin is that you kind of have to be a different persona when you're teaching cycle. And I've when someone, I think Raisa or Eve may have told me that, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like you're a different person up there, and that is a different person than Nurse Carmen. Obviously, Nurse Carmen and Instructor Carmen are not going to be doing the same things, saying the same things. But
Yeah,
yeah, when I heard that, I was like, that makes total sense. Total sense.
I know. It is crazy to think about, but it is helpful in a way because
Yeah.
you can tap into that different side knowing that it's just like a different fragment of your whole being.
Yeah.
Are there any like active choices that you make as an instructor to promote a really inclusive environment?
So I try is the keyword. I try to expand the music options in class when I'm teaching to kind of trying to capture different genres and different ethnicities and different cultures. Trying is the key word, so I'm still trying to do that. I think I like to play Latin music and reggaeton and ratchet beats, but it's really cool to be able to play like Korean songs in class. People like that. People from different cultures like that. They have good music. So that's one thing that I'm trying to still expand on when I'm teaching my virtual classes, just to kind of make people feel comfortable and confident. I think when I was teaching more in person, I tried to find the new person and tried to really make sure that they felt comfortable and they had all their questions answered before we took off and worked out. Because I remember being new and I remember how scary and petrified I was with any new experience. So having someone come up to you and say, like, it's going to be okay, we got this, you're going to be great, I think can make a big difference in somebody's fitness life. Yeah.
It is so true. Taking that time as an instructor to go and connect with the people that you don't know in the room versus the ones that you already know and are comfortable with really makes such a big difference to those that are new to the class.
Yes. Yeah. Huge, huge. And I think that was one thing that actually the first CrossFit gym that I started at, they did well. They would kind of introduce a new person in the class and kind of make sure that everyone knew everyone's name. So that was one thing that I enjoyed about that gym, even though they had really strict rules on when you can take off your shirt. They wanted to make sure that you were comfortable as a new person.
Nice.
Yeah, the balance.
I mean, fitness, it really is, especially like those boutique and studio and like CrossFit, like specialty workouts are intimidating. It's an intimidating space no matter what your fitness background
Yeah.
is. It's so intimidating.
Oh yeah, terrifying.
Yeah, like very, like, Rob, I went to CrossFit with you for the first time. I was like, please just hold my hand the whole time.
You did great. You did awesome. You were great.
Well, I had you to help me not look like a fool. I'm like, you just like don't know where things go. You don't
I
know
know.
when you take things, and it
Totally.
is. But yeah, being thoughtful of that. What do you think are like the main key things that instructors can do to help their clients feel more confident? I mean, we already talked about making that connection before class is probably the biggest one.
Yeah, to make them, I think to make your guests and your clients to feel more confident, I think connection is key. Checking in before, checking in after, maybe even during. I think getting to know their name is also huge because there are so many people that we'll see in a class. Like before COVID, you can have up to 40 people in a class. So getting their name, it sounds silly, but having a personal shout out to somebody as you're working out, like sweating, dripping, like panting, you feel like a mess, like, is this ever going to end? And if you just give them a quick, like, little, like, hey, Sally, you got this. Like, it's huge. It sounds so silly, but like just shouting out their name is like, yeah, I do got this. I used to write down 3 names before teaching cycle, like 3 new names, and kind of like put it like on a sticky pad next to my computer, so I can remember to like give them a shout out because that makes a world of difference. I know when people used to shout out my name, I'm like, yes, I got this. Okay, Carmen. It was I loved it.
That's an awesome tip. I think all instructors should write down, put it on that sticky note, just a couple names so they can have them to shout out. It's not like you can't expect yourself to memorize a name within 3 minutes before class because there's 1,000 million things going on in your mind. I am terrible with names, but I do that as well.
Yeah, I think the handlebar does a great job at that, because that's how I kind of started getting connected with the instructors, and that's why I kept going back, and that's why I'm an instructor now.
Yeah, definitely, and killing it.
I thank you.
All right, so before we head off, I wanted to chat just about mental health awareness, because today, as we're filming, is Mental Health Awareness Day. And I know that there can be a stigma around mental illness, even though there should not be. There's over 43 million Americans struggle with mental illness. The youth depression rates are rising, and mental illness does not discriminate and impacts people of any age, race, religion, income, and most Americans lack access to adequate support and treatment. As a side note, as a nurse, are there anything that, not to put you on the spot, but as a nurse, are there any anecdotes or anything that you wanted to touch on mental health? I don't know if that's something that you learn about.
As a pediatric nurse practitioner, when we do physicals, we listen to their heart, we listen to their lungs, we press on their abdomen, we ask them how things are going. But at the end of the visit, I always like to finish with talking about mental health. And I tell my patients, my teenagers, this. I'm saying, so your brain is connected to your body. Let's talk about your mood. And I always ask them to scale their mood in the last 2 weeks on a scale of 1 to 10, and kind of ask them what their outlets are, what is stressing you out. And I make a point to wrap up with that, and make a point to make them remember that we are, as a healthcare provider, a resource for them if they need it. So mental health is huge. I don't think it's talked about enough. So I love the fact that we're talking about it, because it needs to be talked about more. It's not spoken about. There is a stigma with it, and it drives me crazy that people think there's a shame in going to therapy. It drives me crazy to think that there's a shame in having schizophrenia. If you can talk about Lance Armstrong's testicles and his cancer, we can talk about mental health. Come on. It's not that big of a deal. We need to talk about it. Just saying.
Amen. What are you looking for when you press on the abdomen?
Well, we can find the liver, we can find the spleen, we can sometimes feel a little bit of stool in there. It's fascinating. There's lots of things.
So you're just checking in, making sure they're in the right place.
No pain, making sure that there's no weird distension, no weird masses. Yeah. So there's a lot we can feel in the abdomen.
I was like, why are you pressing here?
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
What are you looking for? It's there. The liver's fine. It's fine.
We're good. We're fine. Amazing. I'm going to end with 5 free apps that I found that may be helpful for mental health awareness. So I'm going to go over those quickly. So one is the ACT Coach app. And this app virtually guides people through awareness exercises and gives tips on how to ditch self-doubt. The next one is AETAS app, which offers mind balancing exercises to help you relax, focus, and develop a sense of well-being. 3 is Happify. Again, these are all apps. Happify is designed with input from 18 health and happiness experts, and its positive mood training program is psychologist approved. It has little games and things to just try to lighten your mood. 4 is Sanvallo, which teaches techniques for dealing with anxiety, depression, and stress. And the 5th one I found is Dayleo, a journaling and mood tracking app. Tracking moods can help you tune in to the positive things in your life, which I think is so true.
I might need to use some of those for my patients because they're always on their phone. So they'll need to use them.
Well, gratitude practice has shown to be one of the biggest things you can do to improve your quality of life.
Oh.
I really try. I even have my little gratitude journal right here.
Oh, it's just every day you just write something that you're grateful of.
Yeah, before work, I'll just jot something down from the day before or something. because this is where I work as well, right
I
here.
love,
Work, live, do everything.
love that work from home life.
Work from home forever life. Well, thank you, Carmen, so much for joining me on Sweating Shirtless. This has been awesome. You had such great insights, and I always love picking your brain and chatting with you and seeing your beautiful face.
Lovely. It was an honor and a pleasure. Honestly, like this was so great. Thank you so much for thinking about me.
Of course. I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Keep slaying. Bye.